Coinbase announces support for Ethereum Classic. Waltonchain CEO compares the project to Qualcomm plus Cisco plus Google of the blockchain world. LA Bitcoin trader, the Bitcoin Maven, faces up to 30 months in prison for trading on local Bitcoins. Ontology enters the automotive industry with its partnership with CarBlock. Vechain partners with logistics giant DB Schenker. Wells Fargo bans the use of credit cards for purchasing cryptocurrency. Samsung's blockchain to integrate with Korean banks for verifying identity. Switchy is now live with Ledger. IOTA to manage Volkswagen's autonomous vehicles updating systems. And you can now bet on the 2018 World Cup with smart contracts. We've got all your headlines mixed with some daily market analysis. I'm Elio Trades, and your FUD TV daily update starts now. Welcome back, FUD Nation. Now, diving in here, we see a bit more of what we were expecting to see, especially after the dump that we saw over the weekend. It looked like Sunday, Bloody Sunday, was indicative of a very negative trend starting throughout June. You know, at the best, this was going to be a boring month, but we're seeing it's not so boring indeed. As we're hopping in, we have another almost over 3% loss on Bitcoin, which is obviously going to be significant. We're down to about 6,500. I should just warn you that a lot of the people I've been following have predicted that this dip on Bitcoin could go under the $5,000 mark, and I was predicting it would go under the $6,000 mark a few weeks ago. Very respected people in the field like Tone Vase are putting out that an optimistic target would be a sort of 4.9. Obviously, I can't predict the immediate future, but again, if you can refer to my video yesterday, we're witnessing the modern miracle of blockchain technology, and cheaper prices in the near term should not scare you off if you have a long-term vision. Don't freak out, it's not the end of the world. This too shall pass. Let's look at some of the good news though from today. We can see here that LOOM network is pumping over 24%. That's because their public beta has just gone live. Ethereum Classic has a huge pump here. Of course, that's because they've just been announced they're going to be listed on Coinbase. We all know what comes with a Coinbase listing. And of course, we'll talk all about that in just a few seconds. And then after that, it drops down significantly. And the biggest pumper is Binance. Of course, whenever there's a lot of trade volume, we have the exchange tokens like Binance, Buybox, Huobi token. They can all do very well because there's a lot of volume on the exchanges, even if that volume is mostly sells. So let's move on to some good news. So let's get right to it. The lead news out of the day is, of course, that Coinbase has announced their first new coin in months. And of course, we've all been waiting for this new announcement. What coin is it going to be? Is it going to be Ripple? Is it going to be, all of our favorite altcoins, Stellar Lumen? Is it going to be 0x, the close relationship between Brian Armstrong and the Coinbase family, and of course the 0x protocol? We know that they acquired Paradex. What's going to happen here? And of course, the explanation here behind adding Ethereum Classic, which is by and large the least expected of all the coins. I think no one would have expected that this coin would be the next coin to be added. In fact, I almost dropped an LOL retweet on my Twitter. I held back, I bit my tongue because I wanted to get more details on the story. And it turns out that essentially what's going on here is they're going to be adding support for the forks of Ethereum and Bitcoin, the prominent forks first, which of course Ethereum Classic is really the big fork off of Ethereum. We might actually see after that support for all of the ERC20 tokens through Paradex, which is of course the new exchange that Coinbase has acquired, which runs off of the 0x protocol. But it wouldn't surprise us to see that after adding support for Ethereum Classic, we see support for all of the Ethereum tokens. If that happens, then this would be a phenomenal progression. I understand that they wanted to start by adding the forks first. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think it does the most for the crypto community at the moment, but obviously step by step, hopefully as long as this is a baby step towards adding full ERC20 support, then that would be a phenomenal baby step. To be honest, I'm not an investor in Ethereum Classic, so this doesn't really affect me personally, and I don't plan to buy any based on the news, but hopefully this is a step towards that ERC20 support that we've all been waiting for. And so yeah, at least we're getting some new coins on Coinbase, and they're just not blocking it off completely. I think that this is good news on the whole. It shows that Coinbase is ready to start making some movement, and hopefully that move is towards adding all the ERC20s that we all know, love, and basically want the rest of the world or the rest of America to have easy access to. And the Waltonchain CEO just did an interview where he claims that Waltonchain is going to be essentially Qualcomm plus Cisco in the blockchain industry, and that this will make them the Google search engine of blockchain. Those are some big words to be spitting, but to be honest, I'm so bullish on Walton, and I've made a bunch of videos explaining this, that I think this project is really uniquely positioned. They have a strong logistics backing. They have a strong retail backing with their smart retail stores. They have an almost unending list of blockchain patents, and they're really focusing on nuts and bolts building of infrastructure with IoT devices. I think that Waltonchain is very uniquely positioned for a futuristic take on blockchain. I think they understand the way this industry is going to develop, and even though, Nebulous, which is the interoperability chain, is very much so focused on calling themselves the search or the Google of blockchain, it's very interesting that they're not the only ones focusing on this. It's not like they're the only ones who know how successful and how dominant Google was by providing the window to the internet. And I think that's the way to think of it. Instead of thinking of search as like, oh, what time is it? Or how tall is the Eiffel Tower? It's how do I access the things that matter to me? How do I access the value of the blockchain? And they're seeing Waltonchain as the provider of that value in many different ways. I certainly don't disagree. Whether it's going to become the Google proverbially of blockchain is obviously yet to be seen, but these are some big spicy words from Waltonchain. And to be honest, I would say Waltonchain is one of the sort of least savvy with PR. They're not into making big statements like this historically, but now seeing, obviously their closest competitor, their closest comparison is Vechain, and Vechain is known for throwing out some big, hefty marketing campaigns, very glossy, very glitzy. So I think Waltonchain might be stepping their game up here with a little bit more spicy talk. I love it. I couldn't be more excited. I hold a lot of Walton, and to be honest, during this dip, I think that might be one of my prime targets to accumulate more of. A local Los Angeles Bitcoin trader who goes by the name Bitcoin Maven was just prosecuted for apparently laundering money through a site called localbitcoins.com. The Bitcoin Maven was profiting in excess of $300,000 per year by taking cash that she had earned illicitly and investing it into Bitcoin. To be honest, these kinds of stories aren't great for the cryptocurrency community, and having sort of examples, proverbial examples of criminality associated with cryptocurrency is not going to help us advance past this sort of infancy stage of the industry that we're in. Not much to say about this. If you're breaking the law, laundering money, taking drug money, putting it in crypto, thinking that that's going to clean up shop and that you're going to be fine, apparently not. And a FUD TV favorite coin is back with more bullish news as Ontology cements a partnership with CarBlock, which is intending to tap into the $1 trillion US automobile market through the use of car data. Now, this is something that's really just emerging as a marketplace, given that cars are starting increasingly to become computers, and this has been the chatter over the last 10 years or so. Now those computers are controlling immense amounts of data, and that data, much like your personal data, holds value and can contribute to more economic growth. It can be used in all kinds of creative ways, so Ontology is going to use their trust infrastructure to secure and help distribute and monetize this data. This is a way to enter the US automobile market, and we see that automobiles and blockchain are having tons of overlap in all kinds of ways, from data to autonomous vehicle updating, which we're going to talk about, like Volkswagen and IOTA, which we're about to cover. This is very bullish sign, and we see that all the really big blockchains are seeming to have some kind of interactions with blockchains. We know Vechain has an automotive partnership with BMW. We know that Elastos is working with the Shanghai Auto Group. We know that IOTA is working with Volkswagen. I'm sure I'm leaving some out here, but now we have word that Ontology and CarBlock are working together, and we couldn't be more excited about what this means for Ontology and just the blockchain space in general as becoming a nuts and bolts infrastructure, not just for our data, not just for our money, but also for our automobiles. And rolling on with the bullish updates, we have word that another FUD favorite coin, Vechain, one of the closest comparisons to Waltonchain, is out with their own new partnership. Of course, this time doing what they do best, which is a logistics partnership here with DB Schenker. DB Schenker is a global logistics leader. We're going to read off some of their stats right now, but it's truly impressive, and Vechain's one of its specialties is developing logistics solutions for supply chains with different logistics providers across the world. And they've developed a customized solution now to help run DB Schenker's operations, which means that they're going to be processing a lot of data for DB Schenker, running it through the blockchain. And just to give you a sense of scope of this project, DB Schenker has a network of over 68,000 logistics experts in 2,000 locations. They have extensive experience in China with over 5,700 logistics specialists and over 60 key cities in the country. One of the goals of this solution is to allow Vechain Thor to score the blockchain business partners, and then they would allow DB Schenker to better evaluate the service providers of those suppliers. So this is just an overall trust building, an overall quality elevating and efficiency mechanism. Again, to me, it's very bullish and exciting because it shows that Vechain's doing what it's supposed to do. And Wells Fargo has just joined the club of banks that no longer allow their customers to use credit cards to buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Of course, we know that behind the scenes, these banks are raking up all the cryptocurrencies that they possibly can, buying them up at the lowest possible prices, or that's at least my theory on it. And so it's a bit annoying. It's a bit unsurprising. They'll allow you to buy lives in Candy Crush. They'll allow you to get a cash advance at the strip club, but they won't allow you to invest in assets that could potentially give you economic freedom. And I think that's exactly the point, right? Is that these assets, especially if it's your own money, they can't stop you if it's your own cash money. But of course, even if it's your credit that you've built up over the course of your lifetime, it seems to me insane that they wouldn't allow you to spend your own credit, that you believe yourself you're making a good investment. What can we say? It's not that surprising. It's more of the same. Bunch of hypocrisy. Sorry to Wells Fargo customers, but this is just the way the cookie's crumbling in 2018. And we have official word that Samsung is going to be partnering up with a bunch of Korean banks to verify identities of their customers on the blockchain. And of course, I know what everybody's thinking, which is, how does this affect Icon? Now, personally, I'm not quite sure what the interactions between Samsung and Icon are going to be as far as this bank sign partnership where they're verifying identities of banking customers. However, I do know that Loopchain is working with a lot of banks, and that Loopchain, obviously the private entity behind Icon, is building a lot of partnerships with banks and governmental agencies. So I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow stumbles in and collaborates with Icon. Really no details on that so far, but all we know is that Samsung is bullish as could be on blockchain, and we're seeing the infrastructure in South Korea really line up around this new technology. It wouldn't surprise me to see South Korea and Seoul become one of the most burgeoning, most active cryptocurrency hubs going forward over the next 5-10 years, just because of their forward-looking legislation, their forward-looking sort of infrastructure, and of course the big companies that are investing in the technology domestically. It's a very, very bullish sign from South Korea. It's a very, very bullish sign from Samsung. And for those of you who have been waiting to use Switchio, you can now use your ledger on Switchio. It's live. Go test it. Go check it out. Let us know how it works in the comments below. I'm curious. I don't use Switchio, and I'm not actually planning to right now. But hey, let me know how it works. I'm curious. And we have word that Volkswagen is now using IOTA to help update its autonomous vehicles. Now, we knew that they were going to be in partnership, IOTA and Volkswagen. We didn't know exactly the details of that partnership. It seems like, at least in this regard, they're going to be using it for their IoT, machine-to-machine communication, autonomous vehicle updating. Makes sense. There might even be some financial sort of transactions involved in that updating process, or there might be some, premium add-ons, who knows? But we know that IOTA is going to be helping transmit this data between the autonomous vehicles and the Volkswagen sort of data center, and helping update these autonomous cars to keep them current and functioning at their highest possible quality. Very interesting stuff. Again, another foray between blockchain companies and the automotive industry. And for those of you who have been waiting anxiously for the World Cup, just like I have, sadly, we're not going to get to root for the United States in this World Cup, but I've spent some time in Europe. I've got a few countries that I love to root for anyway, and to be honest, I'm just so excited. I'm a huge soccer fan. I play soccer. I love soccer, so I'll be out there. I don't know if I'll be betting on the games in the early rounds or later rounds, but I do know that I am going to be out there enjoying and watching a lot of these games. I can't believe the times of these games. In the United States, they're all at like 3 and 5 a.m. because it's in Russia. But regardless, still excited to see the world's biggest, most beautiful game played on the biggest stage. Very exciting, and if you are into betting on sports, you can now do so via smart contract in the Byteball Bytes wallet. So very cool stuff. I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities to gamble on this stuff across other cryptocurrencies, but again, just another interesting collision of pop culture and blockchain. I just want to say a big thank you to FUD Nation, to all of you who have been sticking with this channel. The bear market's been long. It's been very difficult to sort of keep ourselves going, but you guys have been engaging. You've been keeping me going, keeping me getting better, hopefully trying to improve each and every day. So thank you guys for rocking with me, for liking, for commenting, the amazing comments that you guys leave. We have some great conversations in the comment sections, and of course sharing the broadcast is always just so flattering. Whenever I see that there are shares, warms my heart up. It truly does. So thank you guys. Obviously, if you guys are new to this channel and you enjoyed this piece of content, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, and don't be afraid to hit that bell notification so you're made aware whenever we put out new content. I'm Elio Trades, you're watching FUD TV, and I will see you very, very soon on the next episode.